Tuesday here. It is February 7th, Tuesday, and we have a few things to talk about this morning. Yesterday, markets were super lulled and slow. We noticed the range, and the best thing that we did was find the lows on the session. So I just want to plug that in. Go check that out at community.tradeproacademy.com into the free room, but also for our paid Discord, you know where to find it at tradeproacademy.com, where we found those market lows. And today we're looking for something very similar. We're going to see how this plays out. And there's a few reasons as to why. Because we have Fed Chair Powell pretty much coming on today, coming on at 12:40, it seems, probably 1, maybe even after that. We're going to see Fed Chair Powell come in. I think the market's going to be a little more subdued until then, creating somewhat of a range. And to add to that, there was a lot of puts being bought yesterday into this event. So I'm looking a little more to the upside / range into this, and we'll see naturally what happens when he actually comes on the wire and what happens from there. So we'll talk about that a little later. But today we have a massive theme in President Biden's State of the Union address tonight, which is set to broadcast from Capitol Hill starting at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So the markets will be open throughout that naturally. So you might expect some kind of movement, which could bring in some of the lull for the U.S. trading session as well. So he'll take the podium as inflation shows signs of slowing, as well as a massive jobs reports that put together an employment rate at the lowest level since 1969, as we mentioned yesterday. And GDP has also beat expectations, but remains under pressure amidst concerns about a recession, while the current debt ceiling battle also threatens to derail any economic progress and the broader financial market. So realistically, it seems like there's a decent amount of at face value, good economic events and macro events here, but look at the underlying, it might seem a little rockier than you might see on the in terms of the face value. So realistically, Biden's probably going to prop against the fact that everything's looking pretty good. The jobs numbers was good, inflation's down, yada. But there are other underlying concerns, such as inflation is cyclical, as well as this jobs number isn't very representative of what's actually going on, right? There was an adjustment naturally. And even that jobs number, if it was more representative, that puts on the table further hikes to continue to see how this inflation curve continues to settle down. So we'll see any hot inflation numbers / worse GDP projections and numbers that come out is going to put a huge damper on this current rally that we're seeing. So according to the White House, Biden will call for a reduction in the deficit through additional reforms to ensure that ultra wealthy and largest corporations pay their fair share. He will specifically renew proposals like enacting a tax on billionaires and realized investment gains, as well as quadrupling the 1% excessive levy on corporate stock buybacks, which we saw Meta had a massive stock buyback announcement on their last earnings report, which did help a lot of that upside. So this was passed as part of the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022, and many of those plans are likely to be dead on arrival, given prior opposition from the moderate Democrats and with the GOP in control of the U.S. House following November's midterm elections. So we'll see how that shapes up. We also have Fed Jerome Powell that will be speaking at the Economic Club of Washington today for the first time since his FOMC Decision Day presser, which wasn't that long ago. It'll be interesting to hear the remarks, especially regarding how the central bank views Friday's blockbuster jobs report number and what that will mean for the monetary policy going forward. So it's going to be wise to take a listen as to what Jerome Powell is going to be talking about. Now, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen told ABC's Good Morning America that you don't have a recession when you have 500,000 jobs and the lowest unemployment rate in more than 50 years. That's one way to look at it, but there's also other underlying factors that we talked about multiple times over. So we'll see how this shapes up. Realistically, we don't have a bottom until the Fed kind of pivot. So we'll see where this goes from there. The jobs report also threw a wrench into the accepted Fed path, reviving the debate over recession prospects and inflation stickiness, which of course is going to be something that Jerome Powell is going to be talking about today. So with that, right, there's no other really crazy news realistically. There's some news in terms of the AI space with Google and whatnot and their chatbots, but that's not necessarily something I do want to focus on too much. I want to focus on what's going on in terms of the overall economy today and the monetary policy that can be at bay based on the Fed, and even in the evening with Biden speaking. Mastering all terrains. Yes, we do have a live trading room. You can check it out at TradeProAcademy.com. We have that and also the Discord chat, which prompts a lot of trade ideas in there. So I'd check that out if I were you. But now let's dive right into the levels, what we have going on for today. Realistically, what I see today, we can potentially come back down to a distribution low, which is the 41.05 region, right? Plus or minus a few points. It's an area that you have to watch very, very carefully because the rebid off that level was super aggressive and the buyers did want to hold that key support low. We've punctured a key level right now around the 41115s, which is it's getting punctured right in and around that region. You're going to want to see if they can rebid this to kind of hold those higher lows instead of pulling back into that 0405 region. So that 05 region is kind of the last chance for some of these bulls to see an attempted sweep to the upside. Otherwise, you're going to see a pretty strong move from 05 down to the 92s. You want to see how these 15s kind of rebid. If they do rebid, I'm going to be targeting realistically the pivot point of the day, which is 41.32, 34 in that region, to see if any buyers manage to leap above that into the 41.41s. But it's going to be very difficult for them to pass that level. It was rejected multiple times yesterday, even the overnight session. So those are a few levels to watch for. There's some levels in between, but if I want to keep a little more diligent and wait for those main levels, I'm going to be sticking to the 41.15s, 41.05s, 41.33s, and 41.41s. So with that being said, that's all I wanted to say today. I wanted to wrap this up there. And I hope that everyone has an amazing trading day. Let's see what we get. I think there's going to be more subdued movement until we see what Jerome Powell has to say into the afternoon session. So just don't overtrade, don't oversize on this. Probably more balanced movement that's expected to range a little more until we see those economic projections and whatnot. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. I'm going to be looking for a little more range, something similar as to yesterday, but I also want to see if these bulls can actually hold out these distributions again, or is it time that the bears take it a little lower before the bulls do come out? Well, on the week, I'm a little more bearish to see some of that downside flip, but we haven't yet broken that distribution low, which is going to be a pivotal factor for us. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll see you guys next time, and we'll chat soon.